CNN political commentator Ryan Lizzo, who also writes for The New Yorker, and Jay Caruso, forgive me, he's a contributor for RedState.com. And Jay, you're the one I want to begin with because we all read your piece. And, you know, here you have this column, 5 reasons I will not vote for Trump if he is the GOP nominee. Of your 5, give me your favorite 3 points here.
The top 3 points would be, number 1, he is not really a conservative. And I said he's not even really much of a Republican. If you look at his stances on issues like taxes, abortion, Medicare, Social Security, private property, and, you know, Kelo, single payer, you know, he's been all over the map. So there's not a lot of trust there with what he's going to do. Second, his big push has been on immigration, and he's promising to build a wall. He's promising that Mexico is going to pay for it, and he's promising to deport 11 to 12 million illegal or undocumented immigrants. But he has not come up with any kind of plan to show how he's going to do that. And third, he's going to be a big drag on the GOP ticket. There are a lot of senators, GOP senators, who are going to be defending their seats in the 2016 election, a lot more than Democrats. And I just think that it's going to be a disaster. If he is the nominee, he will lose, and the GOP will likely lose control of the Senate as well.
That is a huge point, Jay, that has been echoed by other writers, the whole sort of trickle-down, down-ticket effect. And that said, and Ryan Lizzo, I know you've talked about this before, but there's, you know, this notion of what can these, you know, in the upper echelons of the Republican Party, the folks with a lot of the money, what can they do to stop Trump? And from what I've read, there's a real fear that if they try, there could be this true backfire effect.
I think the biggest thing they fear is that if they go after him too hard, that he'll run as a third-party candidate and ensure that Hillary Clinton, you know, the likely Democratic nominee, is the winner in the general election. I think that's one thing that's keeping a lot of money and elites in the Republican Party off on the sidelines. And, you know, the main thing, though, has been they just assumed, like, frankly, a lot of people who look at politics, that he would implode because of all of the kind of nutty things he has said this year, the kind of things that in previous cycles and for traditional candidates would have, you know, they would have exited the race if they've said some of the things that Trump said. So, you know, look, it's still only early December. There are 2 more months. At this point in 2012, Newt Gingrich was at the top of the national polls, and he did not become the nominee. But if you're going to stop Trump in the Republican Party, it's got to be done by Republicans, conservative voices, because, frankly, his supporters tune out the mainstream media. They tune out information from the establishment press, and it's got to come from conservatives and Republicans and putting their money where their mouth is if they want to take Trump down.
Well, the list is growing, as you both well know, of who Trump has offended. But this really, let me just get to this. So Jay, Trump was on Fox and Friends this morning. He was talking about, you know, his strategy to quoting him, bomb the hell out of ISIS. And he was asked about what he would do with innocent Syrian civilians. This is what he said.
They're using them as shields, but we're fighting a very politically correct war.
Yeah. Well, we see that happening in
the other thing is with the terrorists, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their lives. Don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their families.
Listen, a lot of insults don't shock a lot of us anymore, but, you know, killing civilian families? What? Jay?
Yeah. Well, you know, that's just something that Trump is known for. And because he hasn't suffered any consequences for anything outrageous that he said so far, why stop? And that will, you know, that group of supporters that you talked about, that's just going to kind of solidify around them. You know, they're very supportive of him. They're going to tune out what other people are saying, and that will just embolden them a little bit more. So, as long as there's no consequences to what he's saying, he's just going to continue to say things like that.
It's like the line keeps moving and moving and moving. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just going to say, look, there's a collective action problem here, right? If you are running against Trump, if you're Jeb Bush or Christie or Cruz or Rubio, you want to be talking about your own campaign, you want to be talking about your own biography, introducing yourself to voters, and up until now, you've basically been arguing, you know, pulling Trump down from his 30% polling is someone else's problem, right? Someone else will eventually come in with a super PAC or a lot of money and do it. And at some point, you know, the leading candidates are going to have to realize that it's been 6 months and that hasn't happened, and you know, there's no sort of there's no one to rescue them. Some of these candidates are well funded. They're going to have to do it themselves.
I just feel like we're going to blink and it's going to be November. Jay Caruso and Ryan Lizza, thanks to you two so much.